Welcome back to Fatal Film Friday. Sorry for like the 4 month hiatus. I've pr- been pretty busy trying to work on mental health, important stuff like that. But your girl's back now. This case is kind of a little bit crazy. I guess not that crazy considering where it's from. Which spoiler alert, is from Florida. So basically, yeah. So this case is about this 15-year-old girl named Amber, and she had this ex named Seth, and she gets, Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so Amber was apparently born on March 29th, 1996. Her was boyfriend, but I guess now ex-boyfriend, Seath Jackson, he was born February 3rd, 1997. They started dating back in December 2010, like MySpace and Facebook kind of era when those were popular. And so obviously this is kind of like one of those on and off relationships, and so I guess she kind of broke it off for good with Seth, and she started dating this 18-year-old guy named Marco Bargo. If you remember, I said they were born in 96 and 97, making them 14, and this guy's 18.
What's going on? Y'all are going to jail! Period! What?
When Seth discovers that Amber is dating Michael, that makes things only worse. Amber had even told Kyle, who's like her brother, by the way, that she told Kyle and Michael that Seth had been physically abusing her, which we don't know if that was even true. And Seth's mother had even claimed that Michael had even said that he had a bullet with Seth's name on it, which Kyle had even told a friend apparently later on after that happened that he was going to kill Seth. And so, let's see here. A month prior to the incident, Seth had found out that Amber and Michael were going to this party, but the party was hosted by Michael, right? Obviously, he wasn't invited, but he somehow found a way to get in. He busted in. They get into a confrontation, for obvious reasons. And Seth somehow punches Michael once, which causes him to, some sources say, get knocked out. Others say he just...
Damn!
This obviously pisses Mike off because it was his party, and he's supposed to be like a legal adult, and you just had this teenage kid who's smaller than you pretty much do you dirty, not only in front of your own girl, but also in front of all these people. So basically, I guess like his reputation was kind of ruined because he kind of had this reputation for being like a bad guy, and you know the kind. And so social media war goes off, obviously on Facebook, because this is 2010, and Michael and Seth are constantly going back at each other, and then Amber comes in every once in a while, and I think like some of Seth's friends even got into the conversation, like it was kind of that kind. And Kyle, who again is the brother, he comes in, he's like, hey, stop calling my sister names. He's defending her, because that's his sister, so he kind of has to defend her. This ends up not working, and Seth apparently came to Amber's house at night, upset and yelling and cussing, and Amber obviously doesn't come out, because, you're acting a fool. I guess now is a good time to actually introduce Charlie. She's supposed to be like the best friend of Amber, and she's also 18. And so when Charlie was 6, her and her sister went to go live with her aunt and uncle. Is, I think she's still alive. Charlie is actually legally blind in one eye, so because of her blindness in one eye, she was actually bullied a lot for it. And so she apparently graduated in the spring of 2010, so she graduated, so that's good enough. So then her aunt, who she was living with, had actually warned her, wait a couple years until you move out. Like, maybe, I'm thinking, assuming she was 18, maybe wait till she was like 21 before she moved out. Because a couple years, maybe 20, 21. And so, not being such a rush to move out. And so Charlie was like, I'm going to do it anyway. Because, it wasn't like her aunt could stop her because she was legally an adult and not physically or mentally handicapped, apparently. So, Charlie started dating her mother's boyfriend's son, Joseph David Burrell, who was 21.
21?
in mid-July of 2010 and moved to Florida the following month with hopes of reconnecting with her biological mother. And so that only lasted a couple days before Charlie ended up leaving. But her relationship with Joseph ended up getting stronger. In early September, the two had actually gotten married, but they couldn't leave the county because Joseph, the new husband, was on probation for sexual battery. So they found a place to stay, luckily within the county, of course, because, they kind of ain't had no choice. And somehow Joseph ends up breaking his probation by leaving the county during January the next year. And he had to spend 3 years in jail because he broke his probation. Joseph somehow knew of Michael Bargo and Justice Soto, which is another guy that's involved in this case. And had actually warned Charlie not to mess with them, but she did anyways. And it wasn't like he could do anything about it because, he was in jail. And again, she's an adult, so she could kind of do whatever she wanted. And so basically, fast forward, here we are to the night of the murder. Amber was able to lure Seth to an abandoned house.
House, wait. Take a few.
It wasn't like really abandoned. It was like where Charlie was staying and where hang out. But that night, apparently, it was supposed to be abandoned, like just her and him. And so, of course, this is where he gets beaten and then shot. He was able to leave the house and apparently even got all the way out to the street, but they brought him back and then shot him again. He was then taken to the little bathroom because I forgot to mention this apparently the house is kind of like more like a trailer. So they brought him back to the little trailer bathroom, broke his kneecaps, put him in a sleeping bag position, apparently put him into a literal sleeping bag, hogtied, and burned for several hours behind the trailer. And of course, they celebrated, they drank, they laughed, and neighbors just assumed it was just a regular old, just kids being kids. Unfortunately for them, but I guess luckily for us, Seth actually had a best friend named William, who he hung out with often, which, as you would with your best friend. And so Seth and William had plans to hang out after school on April 18, 2011, which is the day after the murder. Like, the murder just happened the night before, but obviously he doesn't know this. He wasn't there. He thinks Seth's still alive and went back to the house. Seth wasn't returning any of his texts. Like any good best friend, he goes to his mom and is like, hey, is Seth at the house, at the crib? And his mom was like, no, I thought Seth was with you because they're best friends, right? Seth was with you and y'all went to school together. Like, he spent the night over at your house, but y'all went to school together. Of course, obviously, they're like, okay, well, neither one of us know where Seth is, so then they call the police, as they should. However, they do not issue an Amber Alert right away because Seth is in that age range where apparently it's likely that he could just ran away. Even though, allegedly, he apparently had no reason to run away, but he's within that age range, so they're like, it just could be a runaway. His mother obviously accepted the idea, because, but let the police know that she had texted Seth about 9:30 the night before, which the information will obviously come in handy. She simply asked if he wanted to ride home because she wasn't sure if he wanted to get a ride home because he couldn't drive himself. Because, again, they're like, 14, 15, so they couldn't drive themselves yet. He apparently gets a text back from Seth, to which he calls her pretty much all the swear names in the book, even the B word, repeatedly, and told her that he was not coming home and that he was going to sleep over William's house.
Oh, hell no!
According to his mom, that wasn't like him, because obviously what better person know you than your own mother? But he was a teenager, and that apparently was common teenager stuff, so she thought nothing much of it. Just thought that's what it was, just normal teenage stuff. And so obviously for good reason, the sheriff is suspicious.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
But in a way, it kind of helped prove the runaway theory. Like, that text kind of proved the theory. Obviously we know that that was not Seth. We know someone, it's believed that Michael sent the text, but obviously they don't know that. They believe Seth sent it. To figure out where Seth could possibly be, they asked his mom for access to phone records, which she agrees to, which I don't know how she would have access to the phone records. Assuming Seth had his phone on him when he died. Unless she was, I don't know how exactly that would work. I want to say she was paying for the plan because none of them was old enough to get a job. So maybe just give them the number and that's how, I don't know. She even gives like a list of Seth's like friends to talk to, to go see what they know. Because maybe, okay, his best friend may not know, but someone else he knows may know, if that makes sense, right? And so Amber's name was also on the list because, she's his ex. And Kyle made it on the list too because he was friends with Seth prior to the murder. His room was searched in hopes of finding a trail. And they did find a trail. They found that Seth had a pretty active online presence, that he was actually pretty popular. They saw that he and Amber had started dating back in December, like I said earlier, claimed that they were going to be together forever, we're in love, like typical teenage stuff. They go over to Amber's house, who admitted that she did hang out with Seth the night before. Charlie, who was at Amber's house, basically backed up her story. They even mentioned that Seth was arguing with his mom, which matched the story they already had. And they even say that Seth left, and they assume he went back home to fix things with his mother. So then at this point, these two are like the last see Seth alive that they know of, which obviously I told you what happened. But as far as they know, Charlie and Amber are the last two see Seth alive. So then the officer calls for backup. As they should. They separate the girls to make sure their stories aren't like too similar. Like make sure this is not like planned to where they say the same thing. And so Charlie, for some reason, was taken by this little intersection where they both claimed they were hanging out with Seth. I guess to make sure the story actually corroborates what she said. So the lieutenant asked her again what happened. And she says the same thing, but adds like this loud bang was heard when Seth was getting ready to leave. She says it was unknown as to what the actual sign was, but Seth immediately ran down the road at the sign of it, because obviously, from what I'm thinking, she's saying oh, it could have been a gunshot, and that's why Seth ran. And so she even adds that maybe Seth had gotten shot and just had run for his life.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And so then she then adds, because she keeps adding stuff as they're there, right? She then adds that a figure was visible from about 35 yards away. It was believed to be the source of the noise.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
Charlie claims that this, of course, is Michael Bargo, and he's the reason that Seth and Amber basically broke up in the first place. The police obviously do a record on Michael. 18, already graduated. Stayed at Charlie's place a lot since she had her own place.
And they were roommates.
Oh my God, they were roommates. Charlie
was also renting the house to Justin Soto, who, remember, Justin was involved the night of the murder, who was 20 at the time. It was even revealed that Charlie and Michael had actually slept together, but now he basically stopped being involved in that way with Charlie and started dating her underage friend, Amber.
That's tea, actually.
The lieutenant was also confused because Charlie was not making any sense because there were contradictions between the two stories. And Amber's story, because they obviously asked Amber what happened. She never mentions any other person that night, that it was just her, Seth, and Charlie. She even says that they split ways, not because of the noise, but because her and Charlie walked back to Charlie's house. Amber even told the officer that the breakup was mutual when obviously asked about it. And so the two officers get together to see what the other has. When they saw how different their stories were, they confront Amber about the difference in the stories. They then ask if she saw Michael that night, to which she denies, but they say that Charlie saw Michael outside that night and might have shot Seth. Amber denies this as well, and when asked why she didn't mention she has a new boyfriend, she replies with that she didn't believe that it was important.
That's my opinion!
The police notice that she's acting calm and not showing any signs of lying, so I guess they kind of leave her alone for a bit. And then William, the best friend, a good best friend here, he goes out looking for Seth himself, like any good best friend would do. And so then he goes to Amber's house, to which he runs into the lieutenant, William asked him if he's there regarding Seth, to where the lieutenant officer says yes. William is then asked when was the last time he saw Seth. He said the night before. So then here comes William's story. William was hanging out with Seth and this girl allegedly named like Brittany Jones or something. I don't know if that's her actual name or just like an alias name to protect her, because apparently she was underage as well. Like she was, when I mean underage, she was their age too. So that may not have been her real name. Who obviously at this point is ex. Brittany apparently was asked about it later, but Brittany said apparently it was a text. So, but either way, Amber somehow contacted him that night. And so William basically begs Seth not to take the call because that is his ex.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
But Seth does it anyway. William says that Amber said that she had told Seth that she loved him and wanted to get back together. Because remember, again, they were on and off. So William and Brittany had actually allegedly tried to convince Seth that she's lying and that she has this boyfriend, that she don't want you back. She's probably just going to hurt you again, like she has many other times. Seth tells William that he's going to go home. But William obviously knows his best friend. He knows, you're going to go to her house. But you're lying and telling me you're going to go home. So he obviously tells him, no, you need to actually go home. But do not go to her house. And so, obviously, I guess the lieutenant or somebody asked William about Michael. And so then Michael was like, oh, he hung out with, like, younger kids. Because he was 18, so he could have, like, this group of kids to, like, control. And they would have someone to look up to in a way. Which, not exactly the best role model. But, the group that he would have, that he would hang out with, they often hung out at Charlie's place. Because remember, she had her own place. So it was it was a trailer, but it was somewhere to hang out. They were said to be doing drugs and breaking laws because Michael was able to get it and had access to the drugs.
Stop it. Get some help.
Despite the 3 stories, police still believe that he ran away.
Really, nigga?
But William persisted, like any good friend would. He persisted that he couldn't have just ran away. He would have told somebody. He would have left a note. There would have been more obvious that he would have had a legit reason to run away. You know. The police at this station, at this point, returned back to the little station, but they remembered what William had said and how he reacted. So that made him question everything. Like, maybe this isn't a runaway. Maybe it's something more serious. And so, like, once they left, William had confronted Amber, asking what was going on, and Amber told him the same story she had told the police. And so William, which thank God, William somehow knew she was lying, and obviously had demanded the truth.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop your fucking lying.
So then Amber is obviously upset because he didn't believe her, which he shouldn't have, because knowing that what we know happened. She tells him to leave, and that there are things that he doesn't need to know, which obviously shocks William because that's his best friend. So if anybody needs to know anything about Seth, it would either be his parents or him, because again, that's his best friend. So then back at the station while they're waiting for the phone records, because I'm assuming phone records took longer than a couple hours. They're waiting for that to come back. They set up this little search perimeter, which I don't know how big the perimeter was, but apparently there was a search perimeter, and there was like this bolo, which is obviously be on the lookout for Seth in like nearby departments. So if he's not in our jurisdiction, hopefully he is in a nearby jurisdiction. Because dude is only like, what, dude's what, 15? He should be able to, dude's what, 15? What, 14, 15? So he couldn't have gotten far if he was last heard from the previous night. So they then go look for Michael and Kyle, because those two are apparently the common factor in all 3 stories, which I don't know how Kyle got into this in all 3 stories, but somehow he is. And so when they were pulling up Michael's record, they discovered he had a history of a weapon and a restraining order against him the year before. So police were obviously on urgent to go look for him, because not only did he have a record, but he possibly could have had a weapon, and he possibly could have been involved, which obviously we know he was, but they don't know for sure whether or not he's involved in this. So William basically runs into Kyle and asks where Seth is, and Kyle immediately starts stuttering and even says he doesn't know where Seth is. Williams knows this is bullshit, because Kyle and Seth would hang out on a daily basis, but he was persistent not knowing where Seth was, so William left. Police were stuck until they got a call from the mother of Amber and Kyle, Tracy Tracy tells police they need to come ASAP because Kyle has information on Seth. Police pick up the siblings and confiscate their phones and separate them. Amber is by herself and Kyle's in the room with his mom on the night. So then they start telling the police, oh, well, on the night that Seth went missing, Seth wanted to talk to Amber. So Amber and Charlie to Charlie's place with Michael to where Seth would show up later, putting himself on the scene of the murder. Kyle tells the police that he didn't like Seth because of the way he'd been treating Amber. And also, sorry, I didn't mention this. Kyle apparently had a girlfriend named Alyssa. Again, we don't know if that's her actual name or not, but Alyssa, and Seth apparently slept with her. And Kyle walked in on Seth and Alyssa sleeping together. So obviously, that's what ended their friendship. Kyle says when Seth showed up, Michael shot him several times, which he claims none of the other people there knew was going to happen, which I honestly don't believe. They, of course, question Amber now, who admitted that she was scared to tell police the truth. Charlie was apparently the one who let Seth in to talk to Amber. Kyle was in the living room, and Mike was in his room, and just randomly shot Seth while he and Amber were talking. And so Amber and Charlie apparently ran to Charlie's room, allegedly scared, and Michael apparently said to them that if they said anything, it would kill both of them as well.
I will send you to Jesus.
And so they bring Charlie in to confirm this new information that they just discovered. And so Charlie says that he was lured there by Amber because Michael said he wanted to scare him. She claims that she didn't know that Michael was going to kill Seth. The interrogation room, Amber, Charlie, and Kyle all confess that Michael is responsible for the murder of Seth, unaware that the entire interview is being recorded.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And also in the process, they are admitting their parts in the obviously premeditated murder. So then Kyle justified this by saying that Seth wasn't innocent because he was threatening things along to his sister. Justin Soto is now on police radar because the three of them were saying that Justin was there during the time of the murder, which apparently they somehow confirmed he was. Amber's biggest concern was that people were going to hate her because she helped kill a 15-year-old, which she did, and that she was going to get out until she was 20.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
She was 15, and she thought she was going to get out when she was 20 for first-degree murder. Not self-defense, or we're like, oh, manslaughter. The only time I can see you getting out in 5 years for murder is if you accidentally kill somebody, and they can prove it was manslaughter, because it was an accidental murder. Yeah, I can see you getting out in 5 years. With good behavior, I can see that. But for first-degree premeditated murder, and you lure the victim there, oh no, you ain't getting no 5 years, sweetheart. Yeah, they didn't give her ass 5 years, and I'm glad they didn't. Phone records finally came back, which I don't know how long that ended up taking. And it does show Amber contacting Seth about getting back together around 7 p.m. on April 17th, which is the night of the murder. Seth walks to the intersection, and Charlie and Amber mentioned earlier, to the same intersection that they mentioned earlier, so they were telling the truth about that part. And he texted Amber that he had arrived at 8:22 p.m. Seth meets Amber, but is surprised to see Charlie there, because he was told it was supposed to be just the two of them, so why is she here too? And then Seth had even told Amber that if he was set up to get beat up by Michael, he would never talk to her again. So I guess my boy had a feeling, but he obviously didn't know the extent of what was going to happen to him that night. So then Amber tells him that it's just her. Obviously, he's upset when he sees Charlie there too, because you just said it was just you. And so then, despite that, Amber got Seth back to Charlie's place, which is where the murder happened, he was under the assumption that it would just be the three of them, right? So they ended up walking back. So I guess the trailer was within walking distance of the intersection. And so then Michael, Kyle, and Justin all walk into the back room. Kyle and Justin come out, and then Kyle starts hitting Seth over the head when he was talking to Amber. So I guess he got her to talk to Amber to kind of distract him, let his guard down, so it'd be easier to attack him, right? And so Justin Soto was supposed to deliver the first blow because he believed that it was a joke, so that's why he agreed to it. But when he saw they were actually beating Seth, he was like, nah, I can't be in this. So then Michael tells him to move and proceeds to shoot Seth. This is where Seth runs out of the door. They gotta go grab him. Either he made it all the way out to the street, and apparently neighbors saw him, bring him back, dragged inside, obviously tortured in the bathtub until he's dead. was apparently shot in the face, but the last thing he saw before he died was Michael, so that way he would know who killed him. There was no doubt about it, even though obviously burned in the bonfire, they're laughing, drinking around the fire. Apparently, what I didn't mention about the fire was that the fire was actually being taken care of by Kyle. What I mean, like the fire was still going until like 2:30 2:30 in the morning. So assuming this all happened around like 8-9 o'clock, fire was going on for a good, at least I say about 9:30 to about 2:30. So a whole 5 whole hours fire. No one says anything. Somehow the fire, basically everybody here is still pretty young, and so they believe that the fire was going to completely destroy his body. Otherwise, hence why they put the body in the fire. And so somehow the body was not completely destroyed, because I guess it wasn't hot enough to destroy a human body. And so Michael took some pliers and took out his teeth one by one. And so then Kyle and Justin had apparently gotten into a disagreement with Michael, which resulted in him getting beat up, which you look at his mugshot, that would explain his bruises, which I thought Seth had done that. It's like kind of like defend himself, but no. Apparently Kyle and Justin did that, which is why he looks so bad in the mugshot. The police also searched Charlie's place, because it's the place that murder took place, so they have to search her place now. Remains of Seth's body was put into a paint bucket behind a little quarry that was nearby, like the day after the murder, at the bottom of the cliff. So that means they threw the body, what was left of the body, from a bucket off a cliff. And so Michael's arrested, obviously, for after he was found like 80 miles away at a friend's house, and he lawyers up immediately, so he never got interrogated alone. If he ever did get interrogated, there was a lawyer there. It also comes out later that allegedly there's a 27-year-old man, so not Justin, because Justin's 20. This is someone else. There's a 27-year-old man named James Haven who helped dispose of what was left of Seth's body the day after the murder. So he helped dispose of it, I guess, before it went over the cliff. James, some sources say he was Kyle and Amber's ex-stepdad. Some sources say he was Michael's stepdad. Either way, he's somebody's stepdad. That's what I'm trying to get at here. At the trial, Michael says that he was walking for 2 hours, and then has his dad pick him up, and then he was dropped off at where the murder location, and then learned that Kyle had killed Seth. So everybody's saying that Michael did it, but Michael's saying that Kyle did it. So, yeah. It was later revealed at the trial that Michael had frontal lobe damage, bipolar disorder, schizoaffective disorder, a history of self-harm, a seizure disorder, hallucinations, and lack of control over ambition. And not only all of that, he also had a father who abandoned him, an abusive home, dealing with drugs, which obviously his drugs affected all the disorders that he had very negatively. And so because of this, they sent him to a boot camp for like 6 months. And so James was charged with an accessory after the fact, only got 30 years, because apparently he was not there during the actual murder, but he did help dispose of the body, so that is tampering of evidence. And normally tampering of evidence, you would get like less than 10 years. I've seen people get like as little as 3 years for that, but considering this was a young person, or for whatever reason, he did get 30 years, which I'm not complaining. I'm glad he got that. Amber, Charlie, Kyle, and Justin, they were all charged as adults and convicted of first-degree murder, which was obviously life without parole. Kyle was actually sentenced somehow in less than 45 minutes, which, for you to get sentenced in such that little time, you know it's not good. And so Michael was obviously sentenced to death, and he became the youngest person on Florida's death row. Charlie somehow got out of prison December of 2020 after only serving 9 years, because she appealed claiming her innocence and had a good lawyer. Amber would later say the reasoning for why she killed Seth was because she thought she was in love with Michael, but obviously now, as she's grown up and gotten older, she realized that wasn't love, and that she doesn't know why she did what she did. And so then, Michael, when asked later, he claims that they were just friends, even though they had tattooed each other's initials on their private areas.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
He even went to trial and said that they never actually dated, but she obviously insisted that they were, which if you have someone's tattoo on your private parts and they have your initials on their private parts, I would say y'all would consider each other pretty serious. She even admitted that she was sleeping with Michael, which he obviously denied because again, she was a whole minor and he was a whole adult for legal reasons. I already got a murder charge on me. I ain't trying to have, I slept with an underage child. They're already going to hate me in prison because I murdered a 15-year-old. I'm not trying to have the fact that I slept with an underage person on my record too, because then they're really going to be on my ass in prison. At least I'm thinking that's what Michael is thinking. Amber, I guess, is kind of taking responsibility because she believed that she did deserve the life sentence, but she felt that she would rather commit suicide than spend life in prison, basically. Amber somehow managed to get a retrial done because there was an error done with her Miranda rights, which basically, I guess her Miranda rights were not read to her or something. And so because of that, which apparently they're supposed to when you get arrested, especially your first time you get arrested, and they were not read to her or something, so she mentioned that, and they were like, oh crap. So then they had to give her a retrial for that reason. So, but luckily she was found guilty again, but due to like some rule changes between 2012, which was the first trial, and 2021, which was literally just last year, it is possible for her to get a shorter sentence. So this bitch may not get life without parole. And so Amber ended up getting charged with life in prison, as she should. However, her sentence will be reviewed after 25 years. So she could possibly get out when she's like 40. She's what, 25 now? Her mid to late 20s? Yeah, she get out when she's 40. The judge who was over the case, he was hoping that due to her young age, because she was like 15, was hoping that she would grow out of it and not be a danger to society if she's ever released back into society. Because it's not guaranteed that she will get released after 25 years. It may take even longer than that. It may be, she might end up leaving that prison in a body bag. Who knows? Michael got resentenced again somehow, and he got sentenced to death. He got guilty again, death again, and apparently still is the youngest person on Florida's death row. And so, family members and ministries are saying that Amber is a changed woman, and that she has matured greatly since the murder, which happened, next month will be 11 years. So the evidence that they give for this is that Amber has gained her GED, because obviously she got arrested freshman year, so they're not going to let her finish high school, and you committed murder. So she had to get her GED because she couldn't get her diploma. And so she has a positive relationship with other inmates. Amber herself, despite not speaking at her own trial, claims that she has changed, but it's difficult to forgive herself for obvious reasons. And her brother Kyle, who is 16, he's supposed to be getting a retrial too. So Charlie's out. Michael is sentenced to death. James got 30 years. Amber could possibly get out when she's 40. Kyle is supposed to be getting a retrial, and we don't know the results of those are yet. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much everybody. So yeah, that was the case of Amber Wright and the Summerfield 6, as some people call it. And I will see you guys at the next one. Bye!